The array of Sukhāvatī, Pure Land, a concise Mahāyāna Sutra, spoken by Dharmakaya, Boundless Light, a section of the Maharatna-kūta Sutra, Ratna meaning jewel, Kuta meaning heap. Originally, this sutra is a section of the Jewel Heap Sutra, which is a collection of 49 works. The theme here is boundless light, being Amitabha, the celestial Buddha. Also boundless compassion. Amitabha is the head of the Lotus family, and this includes Padmasambhava or Guru Rinpoche. In Sanskrit, Amita means infinite or boundless, and Abha means light. The origin story of Amitabha is that he was a king who became a monk, and he took 48 bodhisattva vows, including one for the formation of a pure land, which could be entered by a combination of ethical behavior and chanting his name. Example of these chants is Namo Amida Butsu in Japanese and Amitufo in Chinese. This is part of Pure Land Buddhism. Amitabha's Pure Land is called Sukhāvatī, the blissful abode. It is considered by some to be a Sambhogakaya realm. All right, so let's talk about these realms. How do we get to a realm, or what is a realm? So consciousness produces mind, and mind produces body. So wherever consciousness goes, a body needs to be there as a container. Something as a platform for that consciousness to interact and experience. So an expanded body would be a realm. So let's talk about some different realms. Samsara is in the formula of being and becoming. So samsara is the place or a realm or the process of appearing and incarnating sentient beings come. And in this case, in samsara, consciousness producing mind, we add a dimension of samsara, and the karma of that individual is mixed in, and they end up in the body that is for their karma, and they're learning, and that body exists in a certain realm. So, what is the Buddhic formula of being? The Buddha state itself has no becoming, it just is. And often in the sutras, this is called suchness. Now, this Buddha seed is within every sentient being without exception. Consciousness producing mind, again producing the body, or in Sanskrit, this is also called a kaya, and this exists in a realm. A pure land is the extension of the Buddha realization from the wish to help sentient beings be able to progress closer to their own realization by extending a helping hand or a place. So the point here is that a pure land, as does a Buddha, arises from the aspiration to help other sentient beings. So that aspiration itself is considered something very precious, is considered to be worth more than great offerings and doing all sorts of things for eons, activities, right? Just the aspiration itself, because that aspiration is the awakening Buddha seed, which eventually, in that manifested sentient being becoming a Buddha, if they had the aspiration to help sentient beings, they will produce a pure land. And every aspect of that pure land is the Buddha consciousness. For the Buddha essence, there is no existence beyond or into dimensionality. So let's look at this, and we start looking at some parallels between the Buddhist writings and the New Testament. So in the Avatamsaka Sutra, the nature of things, of all things, has no resting place. The Buddha's appearance in the world is the same way. They have no resting place in any state of being. supreme wisdom can contemplate the meaning of this. That's from the Avatamsaka Sutra. Now in Matthew 8:20, Yeshua, or Jesus, replied, "Foxes have dens and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head." So Yeshua oftentimes spoke in parables, and a parable is a metaphor, not to be taken literally. And many of Yeshua's parables mix in their simile a truth or a mystery that is not necessarily dependent on the other part of the parable. And you can't see it unless you temporarily extract it from the other part of the saying. So when the saying is, "Foxes have dens, birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head," he's not saying that he's a nomad or a wanderer or a homeless person. What he's saying is the quality of consciousness that he had realized has no external support. It's in need of no external support. And therefore it has no place, no external support that he has to rest the consciousness on. And that's what the Avatamsaka Sutra is saying about the Buddhic realization, the Buddhic state. It has no place. It's not resting on form. It doesn't require form. It exists. It just is. And in those states, there is no object which can rest. Okay, so getting into Pure Lands now, because we're going to get into the understanding of this Sukhāvatī aspiration. So, as said earlier, Pure Land is to create an abode for sentient beings. Now, there are different grades or levels of kayas and Pure Lands. So there's the Dharmakaya, which is self-arising, uncreated. It's beyond description. It can't be described. You could say it's the ultimate Buddha state or the ultimate Buddha locus, although again, it is not a place, it is a realization. So those are also considered formless, beyond the formless realms, beyond description. And then Rupakayas, Rupa being form. So here we have form realms, which includes Sambhogakaya, Pure Lands, or realms. These are enjoyment, blissful realms. And then Nirmanakaya, emanations and transformation realms. And then some consider Shambhala to be a bodhisattva realm within the Rupakaya. So Sukhāvatī means full of joy. Some lamas consider Sukhāvatī as a Nirmanakaya, Pure Land, and others as Sambhogakaya. Apart from compassionate Buddhas, there are Charvakas and Pratyeka Buddhas who do not create Pure Lands. They do not have the aspiration to help other Pure Land, to help other beings come into a Pure Land. Okay, so the beginning of the array of the Sukhāvatī Pure Land aspiration prayer is the syllable Hri. And Hri is the seed syllable of Amitabha. It means conscientiousness. And we see here from a translation of the sutra, the syllable Hri in the corner. And the seed syllables and the seed mantras of these deities, of these beings, represent the being itself. So Hri, and when you say Hri, you're basically saying or invoking Amitabha. The Amitabha energy, the Amitabha realization, the Amitabha awareness. So it's very fitting that the aspiration prayer for Sukhāvatī starts with Hri. Okay, from now we will be going through each of the main sections of the aspiration prayer itself. So the light-colored section there is the translation into English. In the pure realm of boundless light, not even the term samsara's 6 transmigrations exist, since non-Aryas do not reside there, may I be reborn in the Pure Land of boundless light. The pure realm of boundless light is Amitabha. It's Amitabha's realm, it's Amitabha's realization, it's Amitabha's consciousness. So this aspiration prayer is to be born into his consciousness, into the manifestation of his consciousness, into his awareness, into this realm or dimension or pure land that was manifested by Amitabha from his initial aspiration to become a Buddha. Whereas, on the other hand, samsara's 6 transmigrations, or 6 dimensions, or 6 types of worlds, from hell realms, animal realms, human realms, asura realms, god realms. There are form and formless realms, and between the hell realms and the animal realms would be the hungry ghost realms. So there are 6 realms that sentient beings can transmigrate, and there is no mention or awareness or constraint of transmigration within Amitabha's Pure Land. The Aryas are the realized beings. So since non-Aryas do not reside there, all the inhabitants of Amitabha's Pure Land may be considered Arya. They are the realized ones, having unified to a certain extent with Amitabha's own realization. The Pure Land of boundless light. So each bodhisattva's progress along the path from rescuing beings and forming their Buddha character establishes a foundational consciousness which lends itself to developing or becoming a realm, a pure land, where that Buddha is the conduit to form a pure land, which in turn connects to other pure lands. And we can use the analogy of Indra's net. So this is something very common in the sutras, including Avatamsaka Sutra, where a being in one pure land somehow is able, through a portal or some type of conduit, to transit to another pure land. Next major section, in the pure realm of boundless light, not even the terms day and night exist. Since the light of Arya wisdom shines there, may I be reborn in the pure land of boundless light. Day and night implies cyclic existence, samsara. And we can compare this in the New Testament to the New Jerusalem in the book of Revelation. There will be no more night. They will not need the light of a lamp or the light of the sun, for the Lord God will give them light, and they will reign forever and ever. So what is the light that is there? The light is the light of Arya, the realized ones, the wisdom, the consciousness, awareness. That is what shines there. And in truth, this is the light of realization, wisdom, compassion, and love, and it is really the only light that exists, and that is the light of unity. That is the one realization, the one light. The realization of wisdom within is the realization of the unity of all beings in a single one mind. That is the Buddha. So in this picture here, let's imagine that this is a Buddha or someone approaching Buddhic consciousness. What we're saying is the light that is here, the realization that is here, is the realization of the unity of all the Buddhas and all Aryas in your consciousness. That light, that mass light of all beings being perceived in all minds as one unity, that is Arya, that is Buddha. There is no conventional time in a pure land, but it is likely that the stay in a pure land, other than the Buddha establishing it, is not forever. Many people believe or view Sukhāvatī as being a training area for the establishment of one's own Buddha field. So a final rebirth and the establishment of that Buddha field would be the next step after a stay in Sukhāvatī. In the pure realm of boundless light, not even the terms earth and rock exist, since it is perfectly adorned with various jewels. May I be reborn in the pure land of boundless light. So from the title of the overall sutra that this is in, jewels are ratna, or gems, and this is a common prominent theme in the Avatamsaka Sutra. Crystals, gems, jewels, these represent the divine Buddhic awareness, transforming consciousness through one's experience and purifying that being's awareness. And that transformed consciousness is represented by the jewels. This implies the transmissivity, or the transparency, of the Arya divine light passing through the individuated soul. The concept of a soul is present in the original Pali, anatta, and you can check the work of Ken Wheeler, Plotinus Veritas, or Theoria Apophasis, and he has written extensively about this. But there is a growing consensus that the original Pali did have the concept of a soul, and this was later lost as Buddhism spread out through the ages. Now, this concept of jewels or gems existing, and this kind of a glorious light, is also in the book of Revelation. In the description of the New Jerusalem, there are different foundations made of different gemstones. So again, we have parallels between many of the Buddhic sutras and visions conveyed in the New Testament. In the pure realm of boundless light, not even the term mundane wind exists, since it has the fragrance of Vairocana's incense. May I be reborn in the pure land of boundless light. So mundane wind, the perception of what wind is, and we'll see this with many of the elements, the perception that we have of an element and, let's say, the Buddhic perception are transformed in a pure land. So wind in the pure land is the fragrance of Vairocana's incense. Vairocana is the Buddha of the embodiment of light. Both Amitabha and Vairocana were heavily integrated into Pure Land Buddhism. All aspects of form, the five senses, the five elements in a Pure Land are conveyances of consciousness, conveyances of wisdom. The fragrance of Vairocana awakens through its perception the same realization as Vairocana. In the pure realm of boundless light, not even the terms thicket and forest exist, since it is perfectly adorned with Bodhi trees. May I be reborn in the pure land of boundless light. Now, you compare that from this aspiration prayer to Avatamsaka chapter 1. The tree of enlightenment was tall and outstanding. Its trunk was diamond. Its main boughs were lapis lazuli. Its branches and twigs were of various precious elements. The leaves spreading in all directions provided shade like clouds. The precious blossoms were of various colors. The branching twigs spread out in their shadows. Also the fruits were jewels containing a blazing radiance. They were together with the flowers in great arrays. The entire circumference of the tree emanated light. Within the light there rained precious stones, and within each gem were enlightening beings, or bodhisattvas, in great hosts like clouds, simultaneously appearing. Now compare that with, again, the book of Revelation. Then he showed me a river of the water of life, clear as crystal, coming from the throne of God and the Lamb. In the middle of its street, on either side of the river, was the tree of life, bearing 12 kinds of fruit, yielding its fruit every month, and the leaves of the tree were for the healing of nations. So again, we see these, I'll call them visions of the ultimate, being seen by realized Aryas in different spiritual paths, but they are converging visions. So I'm saying they're seeing the same thing, and they're interpreting that vision based on the culture or the tradition that the aspirant, the disciple, was in. In the pure realm of boundless light, not even the term mundane food exists, since everyone partakes of the food of samadhi. May I be reborn in the pure land of boundless light. So samadhi, the state of consciousness, again is a reference back to the Aryas, the realized ones. The visualization of the Amitabha Pure Land Sutra, at the food of each of the trees there were also 3 lotus flowers, and atop these lotus flowers sit the figures of the Buddha and the 2 bodhisattvas, so that the land is completely with such images. In Yeshua, John 4:32, again New Testament, but he said to them, I have food of which you have no knowledge. Revelation 2:7, to the one who is victorious, I will give the right to eat from the tree of life, which is in the paradise of God. So even in the realized states, we see, concepts of wind, smell, light, food. We'll talk about fire here shortly. So all of the characteristics that we experience through taste, etc., in samsara, there are higher forms of those same perceptions in the Buddhic realms and the Pure Lands. In the pure realm of boundless light, not even the term abyss of bad transmigrations exists, since everyone abides as equals. May I be reborn in the pure land of boundless light. Transmigrations being reincarnations, and the emotion or psychic energy of unity itself is compassion. So how does one not have a bad transmigration? Is by holding the emotion or the psychic energy of compassion. And that energy is the key or the springboard to ultimate realization of unity, to the Arya state, is found through compassion. Compassion extends the human mind beyond its own concerns to awaken the realization of unity within all beings. Of the 6 worlds for transmigration in Buddhism, a hell realm, of which there are many kinds, including hot and cold hell realms, maps directly to the Christian concept of hell or Hades. Reincarnation is hinted at in Christianity through Yeshua speaking of the coming or return of Elijah, John the Baptist, and then the statements about those who are sent to realms where there is weeping and wailing of gnashing of teeth. So in the statement Yeshua made about Elijah, he said that it was prophesied that Elijah would come again, and that he did come, implying that that return was as John the Baptist. And the same in Matthew, at least in 2 places in Matthew chapter 8 and Matthew chapter 22, it is said that those who basically didn't pass the test were thrown into a realm where there's weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth. And the allusion here, to me, is that weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth is a reincarnation back into samsara. Because the samsaric state, if you look at the human condition here on this planet, it has plenty of weeping and wailing, frustration, gnashing of teeth. And there are definitely other samsaric realms that are much worse and much better than this one. But I believe this statement about weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth is not about an eternal condemnation, but about a transmigration. Again, to learn the lesson, see if you can transform your being, latch onto at least awareness, if not compassion, and attain an Arya state. All suffering ultimately is caused by the lack of realization of one's own Buddha nature or essence. There's also the idea in Buddhism of equanimity. Unity, think about unity. All beings sharing the same realization. This is the key to the unity or Buddha consciousness. It's also echoed in the Bible by saying through the illustration that every valley shall be filled, every mountain and hill shall be brought low, and the crooked shall become straight, and the rough ways smooth. So again, the extremes, attachment, aversion. I like this, I don't like that. This person is high, this person is low. A total unity Buddhic consciousness has no conceptions of those ideas. It's just unity. It's beyond being described. In the pure realm of boundless light, not even the terms king and minister exist, since the king of Dharma himself resides there. May I be reborn in the pure land of boundless light. Dharma kings such as Tritsun Detsen, the king who helped to establish Buddhism in Tibet, who asked Guru Rinpoche to come. These Dharma kings have been kings who ruled according to the Dharma, and they incorporated Buddhism into their reign. The spiritual function of a king and queen is to be connected to the source of wisdom, Buddha, Dharma, righteousness, whatever phrase you want to use, and not to just rule according to them, but to have their consciousness attuned to them to be a channel and to radiate that wisdom out as a blessing to all the inhabitants of the realm. That is the function of a Dharma king. It's not just somebody who's in a political office who administrates or rules over or does whatever they want. A Dharma king is somebody whose consciousness is connected to the unity consciousness and who is a conduit for that consciousness and who transmits that awareness in the administration of their kingdom or queendom. In the Lotus Sutra, Shakyamuni says, I am the Dharma king, free to do as I will with the law. To bring peace and safety to living beings, that is the reason I appear in the world. In the pure realm of boundless light, not even the term mundane water exists, since rivers enriched with the 8 nectars flow there. May I be reborn in the pure land of boundless light. The inability to get water, especially in human realms and the hungry ghost realm, is a serious suffering. So in the hungry ghost realm, there are beings there who are continuously hungry and or thirsty, and they have no way to quench that hunger or that thirst. For a rebirth into a pure land, that can be facilitated through the mantra of such a rebirth, and the translation of one of those mantras is adoration to the exalted one of infinite light, namely, O nectar producing one, nectar creation perfecting one, nectar miracle one. He performs miracles with nectar. He makes nectar or glory in the sky. All hail. Also in the New Testament, the Spirit and the bride say, come, and let the one who hears say, come. Let the one who is thirsty come, and let the one who wishes to take the free gift of the water of life, let them come also. In the pure realm of boundless light, not even the term mundane fire exists, since the fire of clear wisdom blazes there. May I be reborn in the pure land of boundless light. Fire is spiritually a sign of realized consciousness. Fire is a primary element of rapid transformation. What is the clear fire of wisdom bliss to those who have come into realization of unity could also be perceived as the fire of suffering to those who have not entered or those who have turned away from the path. Beings who punish others in the hell realms, let's say with fire, those beings are acting out of compassion, the ones who are the punishers, or let's say the wardens of the hell realms. In truth, all beings we perceive, especially to be recognized in the Bardo states, they are reflections and aspects of ourselves. You can think about a practice called Tumo, where fire, energy, dealing with the Diantian and visualization, mantra, certain muscular adjustments, this activates the inner fire. The inner fire is the inner light. And that light, that awareness of transformation is what facilitates the Arya awareness. So the fire that exists in the Pure Lands is the expression of the Arya state, is the expression of realization. There are stories in Buddhism about water, seeing water different ways to human being. Water is something we like, it's something we need. But to beings whose consciousness is distorted, water to them could be like poison, could be like fire. Objectively, it's the same thing, but in experience it's perceived in different ways. So here, even the concept of fire is transformed in the Sukhāvatī Pure Land. In the pure realm of boundless light, not even the term mundane clothing exists, since everyone wears excellent divine Panchali cloth. May I be reborn in the pure land of boundless light. From a spiritual sense, clothing is a symbol of one's merit. From the story of Shakyamuni's birth, the gods Indra and Brahma descended to the Sela Grove disguised as young attendants of the royal court, bringing them the finest cloth, known as the Panchali of the gods. And again in Revelation, blessed are those who wash their robes. They will be permitted to enter through the gates of the city and eat the fruit from the tree of life. In the pure realm of boundless light, not even the term birthplace exists, since all beings are born there miraculously. May I be reborn in the pure land of boundless light. In Buddhism, there are generally considered to be 4 types of birth. Birth through a womb, birth through an egg, birth through moisture, and an apparitional or miraculous birth. There are additional clues or hints about birth into a pure land through lotus flowers. The aspirants of faith and assiduity are born transformed, anupapa paduka, in the lotus flowers, but those with doubts are born into the lotus buds. They stay in the calyx of the lotus for 500 years without seeing or hearing the 3 treasures. Within the closed lotus flowers, they enjoy pleasures as though they were playing in a garden or palace. And there are up to 9 grades or stages of birth into various Pure Land flowers: superior, medium, and inferior, each having a section for, or subdivision for, upper, middle, and lower. And there are a few sutras which talk about when beings are entering a Pure Land, experiences they go through in Pure Lands, how much time they spend there, etc., before they begin to see sort of the light, and then have more of a enjoyable experience, and then finally the lotus flower opens and they are born. So Pure Lands and Heavens, just to begin our summary here, there are Pure Lands of the 5 Tathagatas. In the center, this one hosted by Vairocana. In the east, Pure Land hosted by Abshokya. In the south, hosted by Ratnasambhava. In the west, this one we've been talking about, hosted by Amitabha. And in the north, hosted by Ambogasiddhi. And the heavenly realms, so this is in Buddhism, Pure Lands and Heavens. Heavenly realms, they're realms of the gods. Those realms are still in samsara. And there's one particular, the Tushita heaven, reachable through meditation. It was here that Shakyamuni was before his last incarnation, and it is where his mother, Maya, went after her death. And after Shakyamuni attained enlightenment, he did a transit back to Tushita to converse with his mother. So in closing, Pure Lands and the Law of Attraction, just to look at this angle and to summarize again what we've looked at from a current cultural understanding, right? So the fragrance and atmosphere of being and realm, one's own maturation on the spiritual path and karma guides one to the conditions, experiences, and locations which match where one is at on the path towards Buddhahood. One cannot enter a Pure Land unless one's atmosphere has become attuned to those vibrations and karma of the Pure Land before. This is part of the reason why Pure Land Buddhism and the affiliated streams such as Tengai, Shingon, and Nichiren emphasize chanting. Chanting fills your environment with the vibration matching the deity and hence their Pure Land. A deeper aspect of Pure Land Buddhism does cross into esoteric practices that are similar and include Vajrayana Buddhism or Tantra. May all beings benefit, may all beings be well, and may all lead to the enlightenment of all sentient beings.